My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart and my soul belongs to Zeta Phi Beta. My heart. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bird's Eye View, where we connect the past to the present in order to understand what makes the Black community unique. I am your host, Trenda Byrd of ByrdOwL Consulting, and today we are talking about Black Greek organizations, otherwise known as the Divine Nine, and we're going to be talking about what is the purpose of fraternities and sororities. What impact have they had on the Black community? What are the differences between the Divine Nine and white Greek organizations? And we're going to even talk about the differences between the Divine Nine and social fellowships. As you guys know, I like to start off each episode with a little bit of a history lesson. So just before we get started, in case you guys don't know, I am actually a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And we're actually celebrating our centennial this year, which means that we are celebrating 100 years of being founded. Black Greeks have been a pivotal part of African American history and culture since the early 20th century. They launched on campuses of historical Black colleges, and these organizations have been a central resource for support and service in the educational advancement and strengthening of social bonds among Black students, entrepreneurs, and professionals, especially when the organizations expanded to PWIs, or majority white institutions of higher learning. Also, they were a way to combat racism. So before we go any further, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor. Hi guys, so if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that will allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or from your phone. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast as well, so you don't have to have a lot of listeners in order to make money. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So be sure to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now back to our show. And we're back. So with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, they were the first Greek letter fraternity to be established. They were founded by 7 African American men on December 4th, 1906 at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. And their colors are actually black and gold. Each sorority and fraternity have their own colors. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated were founded January 15th, 1908 at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and their colors are pink and green. They are the oldest Greek letter organization established by African American women. And then you have Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. They were founded January 5th, 1911 at Indiana University, Bloomington, and their colors are red and white. Now, Omega Psi Phi, they were founded November 17th, 1911 at Howard University, and their colors are purple and gold. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, they were founded January 13th, 1913 at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and their colors are red and white as well. Then you have Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, who were founded January 9th, 1914 at Howard University. And then you also have my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and we were founded January 16th, 1920 at Howard University. Now, the one little quick fact about the Sigmas and the Zetas, we are actually the only fraternity and sorority that are actually constitutionally bound. So we are a sister and brotherhood organization. We're still separate organizations, but we claim each other as sister and brother, and we're the only ones that's actually constitutionally bound. And we'll get more into that a little bit later in the episode. So then after us, you have Sigma Gamma Rho, who were actually founded November 12th, 1922 at Butler University in Indianapolis. And then last but not least, you have Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, who were founded September 19th, 1963 at the Morgan State University, where I went to school. So collectively, you have these organizations that are called the Divine Nine. And with that, you also have a council. We have a council called the National Pan-Hellenic Council, which is a council that is comprised with all the Divine Nine, and there are usually representatives from each of the organizations that is a part of this council. And so the National Pan-Hellenic Council, or NPHC as we call it for short, was actually founded on May 10th, 1930 at Howard University once again, and they were actually incorporated in 1937, and the national headquarters is actually at Indiana University Memorial Hall. So that's just a little bit about kind of how the organization of the sororities and fraternities are organized, and their founding dates and their colors. So that's just some of the basics of the Divine Nine. You also have social fellowships such as Groove Phi Groove and Swing Phi Swing, which Groove Phi Groove is a social fellowship that is based on community service and leadership. They were founded at Morgan State University on October 12th, 1962 by 14 African American men. And according to their statement from their website, they were established with the purposes of promoting academic awareness, ethnic standards, and unity among men in undergraduate and graduate college programs, therefore creating intelligent and effective leadership, and studying and helping to alleviate the social and economic problems of society to generally improve the world. You have Swing Phi Swing, which is considered their sister organization, even though they're still separate organizations, but they say that Swing Phi Swing is their sister organization. They were actually founded April 4th, 1969 at Winston-Salem State University, which is yet another HBCU, by 12 African-American women. You also have social fellowships that are associated with different departments of universities. So, for example, you have Kappa Kappa Psi, which is a national honorary band fraternity, and they were actually founded on November 27th, 1919, on Thanksgiving Day, actually, at Oklahoma Agriculture and Mechanical College, which is now known as Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now, the one thing about these social fellowships is that you can be in a social fellowship and still be a member of one of the Divine Nine. Now, if you are a member of one of the Divine Nine fraternity sororities, then you can't be a part of another fraternity sorority. So, for example, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. I can't be a member of Delta Sigma Theta or Alpha Kappa Alpha, because those are fraternities and sororities within the Divine Nine. But with social fellowships, I can be in a social fellowship and still be part of one of the Divine Nine sororities, because they're not really the same thing. They're kind of a completely different organization. Now, one thing about Kappa Kappa Psi, I actually have a sorority sister who is part of Kappa Kappa Psi, the band fraternity, and she's also my sorority sister. So that's kind of a little bit about social fellowships. Another social fellowship that you have is Tau Beta Sigma, which is a sorority, a National Honorary Band sorority. So Tau Beta Sigma, just like Kappa Kappa Psi, that's a fraternity. So both, it's a co-ed fraternity, so both men and women can join Kappa Kappa Psi. But with Tau Beta Sigma, that is a sorority, so that's only for women. So that is that's the sister organization to Kappa Kappa Psi since 1947. And at Morgan, I believe I knew someone who was or is part of Tau Beta Sigma sorority that at Morgan State. I knew someone who was part of that. So what is the purpose of a sorority and a fraternity? Well, most importantly, they are community service organizations. So no matter what organization you belong to, they're all about community service. Okay, that is like the major thing that we do, and that's the one thing that we all have in common, is that we do community service. We actually have signature programs that we each are very that we're involved in. For instance, with my sorority, we are involved with March of Dimes, March for Babies. That's one of our signature programs that is very close to our hearts, and that's very close to my heart because March of Dimes, March for Babies, if you don't know, we raise monies for to help with premature babies. And the reason why that is kind of close to my heart is the fact that I was a premature baby. So each of us, we have our own signature program. We all do great work for the community. We actually provide scholarships to students. So fraternities and sororities, the Divine Nine, we really do a lot of great work no matter which organization you belong to. With the Divine Nine, we are all about sisterhood and brotherhood. So we are very close knit. You could be walking down the street or in the store, and if you see someone that is wearing their colors, or they're wearing a shirt that says Zeta Phi Beta on there, I can automatically go up to her and say hi, give her a hug. Oftentimes we ask where we were made, or that means like where we crossed, and we chit chat. So it's kind of like a community almost. It's a sense of belonging, a sense of community. Now within the Divine Nine, we have a culture. So in the culture, it involves stroll-offs or strolling. We have step shows. We have signs. We have different calls that we do. And so what a stroll is actually a tradition that actually traces back to the early 1900s. And members of a specific organization, so let's take my sorority for instance, is the Zetas. So what we would do is we would actually line up behind each other and do a certain movement, like dance motions, that we're moving forward. So we're in a line and we're doing a synchronized dance motion, moving forward, going around a room. So that's kind of what strolling is. And a lot of times you do it to music. So we do it to all kinds of music, depends on whatever. You just pick a song and you create a stroll for that song. There's also something called stroll-offs where we do like a competition. So each sorority and fraternity, they would do their own stroll, and you would vote to see who would win. You also have something called step shows, which that is one of my favorite things to go to is a step show. So stepping has a long tradition in African and the Black communities. And it was interesting when I was doing this research for stepping, because I wanted to get a little bit more deeper into just not only step shows for the Greeks, but actually kind of delving back into where it actually stemmed from. And so while its origins are in the Black community, stepping has also spread to the Latino and Asian cultures, into the multicultural fraternities and sororities as well. But there isn't a specific origin date, but the start of stepping actually dates back to Africa. As we go on with history, a lot of things that a lot of things that we know we can trace back to Africa. And it was formed from something called the African gum boot dance, which was performed by dancers in boots, and is said to be one of stepping's biggest influences. And so a gum boot dance is actually a South African dance that is performed by dancers wearing Wellington boots. Or from the pictures that I saw, they actually look like rain boots. So in South Africa, these are the most, that's more commonly called gum boots though. So it's gum boots, Gumboots, so gum boots. In modern day, the roots actually began in the early 1900s when organizations of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, the Divine Nine, held Greek sings. So the organizations of the Divine Nine used songs and dance as a call and response to uplift audiences. And it has become a way for organizations to show pride and unity in their groups. So all the things that we do that's kind of part of the culture is the way to show unity and pride within our organization. And so you also have something called, we have different signs. So for each organization, we have our own signs. And so for example, with my sorority, our signs are kitties and doves. So we will throw up like a dove or a kitty using our hands. So we do these signs with our hands. And one thing to note, if you are not part of an organization, do not attempt to throw up any signs. Do not attempt to do any of these calls because you will be corrected. Now, how you'll be corrected? I don't know. I have heard and seen things where people will try to join in on a stroll and they will get pushed out the way. I've seen people try to do a call and somebody get chewed out about it. So if you are not part of the organization, do not call, do not throw up a sign, and don't you dare try to join a stroll. Those are kind of the rules. So for the calls, each sorority fraternity have their own calls. So if you can actually go on YouTube and look up like Zeta Phi Beta calls, and you can hear the calls. I'm not going to do the call on here because I don't want to mess up my microphone, because it's kind of with the sororities, it's a very high pitch call. So, and my voice is not really in the best condition to do it. So I'm not going to do the call. But basically we call out Z-Phi and we say so sweet. So we kind of do that in a high pitched voice. Now I want to talk a little bit about my own experience when I became a Zeta. Now I am considered what is called a legacy, and what that means is that somebody in your family is a part of the organization that you are a part of. So with me, my mom is also a member of Zeta Phi Beta. And the one thing about the Divine Nine that is different from the white Greeks is that once you are a member of this particular organization, whatever organization you choose to become a part of, you are a member for life. So what that means is that if you are, whether you're active in the organization or not, you are a member for life. So I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta for life. And actually, when I pass away, we actually have a special ceremony that is performed at the funeral. So you are part of that organization for life. Now with the white Greeks, it's something where they just do while they're in college. There's not really an emphasis on like a lifelong journey that I'm aware of. Some people say, oh yeah, I'm still doing this, that, the other, but it's not as ingrained in them as it is for us. Like it's a lifelong thing. So my mom is part of Zeta Phi Beta, and I'm considered what some people might call a double legacy, because my mom's a Zeta and my dad is actually a member of Phi Beta Sigma. And since we're constitutionally bound, it's like that double legacy that you have. And I have to find the picture of it. And if I find the picture, I will have to post it on Instagram. But there's actually a picture of my mom and my dad and myself. I think I was maybe like a little bit, maybe a year old. And we were at this Blue family. It was a Zeta, Phi Beta, and Phi Beta Sigma Blue family picnic. And so it's a picture of the three of us, and we're all in blue and white. And even myself, I have on a cute little white top and blue shorts. And so my parents, they actually joined their respective organizations when we lived in Mississippi. So they joined a grad chapter. So you can either join the organization while you're in undergrad, or you can wait and join a grad chapter after you graduate. You just have to find like the nearest grad chapter near you. My stepdad, on the other hand, he is actually a member of Omega Psi Phi. And so those are the ones that are the purple and gold. And my brother is also a member of Omega Psi Phi. The impact that the Divine Nine has on the Black community is a huge one. I mean, it's a great way to network. And so, I mean, I have met sorority sisters from all over the country, and it's a great way to network. You can help each other get jobs, you can help each other with different facets of life. So it's just a great way of networking, and it's a way to bring the Black community together of, you know, being part of some of these organizations. So I just want to give you a little bit of an overview about the Divine Nine, and kind of a look into the Divine Nine, and kind of how we work, and what, you know, is unique about these organizations. Now, what I want to do is we're going to go into the Bird's Eye View review. This week's Bird's Eye View review, I'm going to highlight a company called Nala. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I've never actually heard anybody pronounce it, but I think it's Nala Designs. And this particular business owner, she is a Black-owned business owner. In fact, she is actually, I found out she is actually a sorority sister of mine. So she has her own business where she does clothing apparel, and she does a lot of items where she'll make like different clothes and different items for different Greek organizations. So she does a lot of Divine Nine things. So if you need like a t-shirt or a sweater or even a mug, she does that design. So she does custom apparel for Greeks, and other designs as well. So it's not just Greek. So if you just want like a custom, like if you have a logo, you want like a custom made t-shirt, she can do that as well. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram. And what I'll do is I will actually have those handles in the show notes. So be sure to check her out. From what I've seen, her artwork is awesome. I'm actually going to hopefully in the near future get some work done by her. But some of the reviews that I've seen, just rave reviews, and people just love her work. So that's for the Bird's Eye View review. And so just to remind you guys that my website is live, so be sure to go check it out. This week I'm actually going to do another blog post, and what I do is like each week when I do a blog post, the blog post will kind of be on the same subject line as the episode for the week. So this week blog post will be more about going into a little bit deeper about the Divine Nine. So be sure to check that out when I post that. I'll share it on social media when it's posted. So be sure to check out my website for that. Again, follow me on social media. I'm on ByrdOwlconsulting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, even though I haven't have a lot of stuff on there yet, but I'll start putting some videos up there on YouTube. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I really, really hope that you guys will subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Be sure to, I think you can follow me on Spotify, on podcasts. You can also leave a voice message on Anchor. And so all of this will be in the show notes as always. If you're looking to support the podcast, you can always go on the show notes and look for ways to support the podcast. If not monetarily, just please, you can support by just sharing the podcast, telling your friends about the podcast, and just supporting that way. So I think, if you have any questions or you have a topic you want to discuss, then you can always email me at ByrdOwlconsulting@gmail.com and just put in the subject line Bird's Eye View Podcast, so I know what it's referring to. So that's it for today. So thank you so much for listening. And remember, in order to know where you are going, you have to know where you come from. And I'll be back next week. So bye.